guys, welcome back to my channel. So, woo Chile. Now, I do not follow sports news, period. ESPN, Fox, none of that. I don't follow none of them things. However, Joy Taylor, baby girl, come to the stand, girl. What was you doing? Like sleeping with the white man to get on top, and you know, you got your pictures everywhere. You showing them tatas, girl. I mean, hello. Now, mind you, I'm all for a girl getting her bag and moving up in the world. But baby, I guess now, depending on who it is, y'all solicitate basically soft Pinot Yana, girl. You know, the P word. Ooh-wee. So I'm not really a lawyer, but because I was not supposed to read our receipts, nothing. Let her give you the full tea, and I will come back and rest my commentary, because baby, this is a lot.
A former Fox hairstylist is suing Fox, Fox Sports, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, Charlie Dixon, who is the head of content for Fox Sports 1, Skip Bayless, and Fox Sports 1 host Joy Taylor. And child, I'm not a lawyer, but I read all 42 pages of this lawsuit, so let me give you the recap. Let me start off by saying that this is a two-part lawsuit. Nushin Faraji, who is the woman that's suing, has filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of her and other hourly employees. And then she's also filed an individual lawsuit on behalf of herself, claiming battery, hostile work environment based on gender, race, and disability. She's claiming retaliation, wrongful termination, and some other stuff. Here we go. So I'm going to call her Faraji because I don't know if I'm pronouncing her first name right, so just go with it. So Faraji says that she started working with Fox in 2012 and then was hired full-time in 2016. Starting off with defendant Joy Taylor, Faraji says she meets Joy Taylor in 2016, and at that time, Joy was working on an as-needed basis for Fox. She was married but had recently relocated from Miami to Los Angeles, but her husband was still in Miami, where she came from. Faraji says that in May of 2016, she goes to meet Joy for drinks, and when she gets there, a man named Charlie Dixon, who is a defendant and, like I said, is the head of content for Fox Sports 1, is also there. Faraji didn't know who he was, but he was buying drinks and food. After that first night, Faraji says anytime she would go to meet Joy for anything, Charlie Dixon would either come with Joy or he would come later and leave with Joy. The lawsuit says, quote, Faraji suspected that the pair were sleeping with each other, and although this concerned Miss Faraji as she knew Miss Taylor was recently married, Miss Faraji kept her opinions to herself. Keeping your opinions to yourself and then filing this lawsuit with this information in it doesn't all the way feel like keeping your opinions to yourself. The suit goes on to say that Faraji continued to be friends with Miss Taylor, but tried to distance herself as she considered the situation dangerous as well as morally wrong, as Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon were both married. In July of 2016, the lawsuit says people around the office start hearing about a new show that's going to be launching called Undisputed. The show was going to co-star Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharpe, and execs wanted a woman with significant TV experience to also star on the show. So Faraji says it was a surprise when Fox announced that Joy Taylor was the woman who got the job, considering that Joy previously was, quote, a bartender and Miami radio host with very little TV experience. Faraji is giving shade, ain't she? Now, Faraji says that Skip Bayless told her at one point that he didn't even want Joy Taylor on the show, but Charlie Dixon was adamant about it and eventually asked him to just do it as a favor to him. A few months after all of this, Faraji says she goes to dinner with Joy, Joy's husband, Charlie Dixon, and Charlie's wife. And during that dinner, quote, Miss Taylor's husband became suspicious that Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon were having a relationship. Soon after the dinner, Miss Taylor's husband found evidence of the inappropriate relationship and decided to divorce Miss Taylor. Fast forward a bit to January of 2017, Faraji says that she was at a rooftop restaurant celebrating Joy Taylor's birthday when Mr. Charlie Dixon approaches her. The lawsuit says that he asked the bartender for a drink, and then he places his arm on Faraji's lower back. He asked her how she was doing, if she was having fun, and if she wanted a tequila shot. He then, according to the lawsuit, lowered his hand and started rubbing her body and grabbing her behind. Faraji says that she told Joy Taylor about what happened, but to her surprise, Joy's response was, quote, get over it, and that Dixon could make both of them lose their jobs. So from there, Faraji decides to tell another coworker. And the lawsuit says while that coworker agreed that Charlie Dixon was disgusting, the person also said that the behavior wasn't shocking given Fox's culture and that Faraji should just keep quiet if she wants to keep her job. The lawsuit says a few years into working at Fox, Faraji went to lunch with another one of her coworkers, and at that lunch, the woman tells her that she's no longer going to be working with Fox because Charlie Dixon told her in order to renew her contract, she needed to engage with him. The woman declined, and according to her, she was now parting ways with the company. Following that lunch, Faraji calls Joy Taylor to report what she learned at lunch, and according to her, Joy says no one gives a blank about that coworker. Now, in addition to what's claimed about Charles Dixon and Joy Taylor, Faraji also has some claims about Skip Bayless. Faraji was hired to give Skip Bayless haircuts once a week for Undisputed, and at first these appointments were fine. But eventually he, quote, began finding excuses to touch her. He would give her lingering hugs after each haircut, putting his body against her own, pressing against her, and he even began kissing her on her cheeks. In the summer of 2017, while Miss Faraji was giving Skip Bayless a haircut, he told her that she was, quote, voluptuous. Now Faraji, whose first language is in English, asked him what voluptuous meant, and he said she should figure it out. Eventually she does, and she says she was mortified. Faraji says that she decided to keep quiet about all of this because she was a single mom and needed the job to care for her and her son. In an incident from 2021, Faraji says that she told Skip about some medical issues she was having, but instead of him being compassionate, Faraji says that he told her he wanted to be with her and then allegedly grabbed her hands, began kissing them, and offered her $1.5 million to engage with him. About 1 week after the $1.5 million offer, Faraji says Skip tries her again, and this time Faraji tells him, quote, Skip, stop, you have a wife. To which Skip responded, quote, aren't you Muslim? Doesn't your dad have 3 to 4 wives? And then Faraji responded that her dad was dead. In April of 2022, the lawsuit says that Faraji walked over to Skip's fitting room on set. And when he answered the door, he, quote, began to angrily accuse her of engaging with Shannon Sharpe. Faraji tried to explain that that never happened, but she says Skip didn't believe her. This back and forth goes on for a number of days, and then on April 16, 2022, during a phone call between Skip and Faraji, Faraji says that Skip tells her he could tell from her body language that she had done what he was accusing her of. He then also stated that he heard her talking to Shannon about her private. There's also an incident from 2018 in which Faraji says that around that time, Joy Taylor's then fiance, so this seems different than the husband she had back in 2016, learns that she had been sleeping with Charlie Dixon. Joy's fiance breaks off the engagement after learning this news and threatens to go public with everything he knew. The lawsuit says, upon information and belief, Charlie Dixon paid for everything it took to cancel the wedding in exchange for the fiance not saying anything. Faraji also says that a man named Bobby Diaz, who mics up the talent for Fox, openly gropes, harasses, and is inappropriate with women at Fox, including her. And the only reason he hasn't been fired is because he supplies narcotics to Fox employees and talent, even after an incident where he removed his pants on live camera. What's going on over at Fox? In February of 2020, Faraji says she meets Joy for lunch, and when she gets there, Emmanuel Acho was also there. Faraji didn't know who he was, but she says, quote, she could tell that the two were romantically involved. Faraji says she tells Joy Taylor that she probably shouldn't be sleeping with Emmanuel and Charles Dixon because Dixon is a very powerful man who might get angry. But Joy allegedly responded saying she is also very powerful, and once Charles Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would just tell the company that he forced himself on her. Faraji says Joy wanted Acho to recommend her for the show Speak for Yourself, and in September of 2022, she was in fact hired on that show. By October 2021, Faraji says the friendship between her and Joy Taylor had ended. And when it does, Joy begins insulting her on a personal and professional level. Joy allegedly openly mocked Faraji's English and complained about Faraji's humming. The humming is apparently involuntary, and it's a subconscious coping mechanism Faraji uses for PTSD. Joy Taylor also then began saying that she needed a black hairstylist on set instead of Faraji, who is in black. Time goes on, but eventually Faraji is told that she is no longer needed as a hairstylist at all. And when she asked the head of operations if she had done anything wrong, the woman responded, quote, you remind me of my dog, and when I take my dog out, he barks at bigger dogs. That's like you. I don't even know what that means, but comparing somebody to a dog is not okay. In August of 2023, Skip somehow learns that Faraji never actually engaged with Shannon Sharpe and decides to apologize to her. While he's doing that, he also tells her that Charlie Dixon wanted her fired because she knew too much and was talking too much. There's some HR meetings, some internal investigations, and on August 8th, 2024, Faraji is officially told that after an investigation, she is being fired because Fox can only afford to have one hairdresser on their 3 shows, 2 of which Faraji had been working on. Faraji says after much therapy, she is now at the point where she seeks justice. So she's suing for battery, which is specific to Charlie Dixon for that alleged incident that took place on the rooftop bar, Skip Bayless for those lingering hugs, pressing on her body, kissing on her cheeks, and Fox because according to her, they required their employees to appease the talent or do whatever they needed to keep them happy. She's also suing for a hostile work environment, failure to prevent harassment, which is specific to Fox for not taking reasonable steps to prevent this kind of stuff from happening, retaliation because she says in one of those HR meetings, she confirmed that Joy Taylor was sleeping with Emmanuel and Charlie Dixon, and shortly after, she said she was fired. So according to her, those 2 things are related. And then she's also suing for wrongful termination. Now, like I said, there's also the class action part of this lawsuit, and Faraji does go into details of that, but it's essentially that she and other non-exempt employees were not properly paid, even though they were required by Fox to work. So we just gonna start off 2025 hot, huh? Because I'm tired already.
She just had to be a black woman. Oh my God. Well, the funny thing is, Joy Taylor looks ambiguous, but she's a black woman, child. But she's not your typical dark-skinned black woman, which is why my commentary is about to be real spicy. Let's get into it. So, the hairdresser, I don't want to say her name wrong, so I can't say her name at all. The Miss Middle Eastern woman, if I ever refer to her like that. Baby, you are a victim. Absolutely, you are a victim. And the fact that homeboy said that, after making comments and touching appropriately, talking about don't your people have multiple wives? And when you said that, your parent had, taken ill and passed away, and he was in shock but still proceeded to keep doing his thing, baby, hello. But let's get into who we're really talking about. Joy Taylor. Girl, you are evil. Let's go with that. The fact you're willing to say that if anything fell wrong and did not go your way, that you would basically say that he SA'd you is ridiculous, because you went into this industry knowing that because you're a woman, it would be hard for you to move on, so you had to sleep your way to the top. Involving Miss Shaniana girl, Miss Shanna Sharp, was crazy. You wasn't on a show with him and his boy, but to say, they were trying to push Shanna Sharp into business. I think Shanna Sharp low-key won the girls, even though he was having intercourse with Michelle on live, which was a ploy. Girl, okay, whatever. But 1.5 mil for some box, as Anton Dane would say, is crazy work. Ladies, I just want y'all to know, believe in your morals. Because I passed on a TikTok today of this white girl who showed us her money that she got tips from the club because she was a pole dancer girl. Sometimes I think if the world did not know who I was, I'm not international or nothing like that, but I live in Miami. So if niggas might need to know who the heck I was, I would definitely win the OnlyFans route and make my coin, baby. But I work at a job where I can't do that because they find out I'm doing anything like that. I'm gonna take it out the radar, baby. Sometimes, a little bit of ting get you somewhere, but Joy, because you being so messy about it, that's why they're coming at you more than anybody else. And my thing is, now women who want to be in men's spaces are going to find it harder because they all assume that y'all going to, bust wide open to get to the top. And, we know that happens in the industry, period. Business, ex-life, the usual things. You going to do what you got to do, baby. But, yeah, to say the man SA'd you, now we're going to be a lot of crazy work, girl. And then kind of find out you claiming that you is this independent woman, got my thing done and I do what I gotta do, but y'all sleep with all these men, and then come back to find out that you was married at a point and then your husband divorced you after a year because he knew you was doing them things. Girl, was it worth it is my real question. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Someone once told me the grass is much greener